for a large part of 2025, I didn't exist. And that's not by any fault of you guys. It's just purely me. I was very distracted and living my best selfish life. As you know, a lot happened for me in 2025. I started a new job, for instance, which is now in events, and sometimes requires me to work outside the normal working hours, usually evenings or weekends. And I also think I've met someone very important, maybe the love of my life, and that was one of the big reasons I just sort of disappeared. I was very distracted, but very happy. Okay, so not a lot happened, but you and I can both agree there were pretty big milestones in my life, and it makes sense why I was just very distracted and AFK. Still, that didn't stop me thinking about you guys on YouTube. I really wanted to come back, just not as a Let's Player. If I'm being honest, Let's Playing just isn't really for me anymore. Between my very packed schedule and life developments, I've just not had the time or patience to do Let's Playing, which has had me thinking about other creative things I could do on YouTube. When I made this sort of video last year, I had a lot of fun. It was so great just to be able to put all my time and effort into just making reviews, and I found out that's the sort of thing I really enjoy. And also doing something like this will let me tackle that huge backlog of games I've got that is continuously growing and grew by 3 more games over Christmas. Doing review type content will let me continue with the Let's Plays, just on a much smaller scale than what we usually do on this channel. Will I let go of my editing style? I don't know. I would like to think I won't be as manic, but we'll see what happens when time comes. Some of these games I've managed to share with you guys, other games I haven't. And those games that I didn't share, I will kick myself for not sharing because they were such incredible experiences that I wish we could have enjoyed together. But the games that we did manage to share together, they've all been great. We played Resident Evil 7, Not a Hero, End of Zoe, Resident Evil 8, Shadows of Rose. We played a lot of Resident Evil. So over the year of 2025, I managed to play 14 different games, 17 including DLC. Rather than rate the DLC separately this year, I've decided to include them with the base game, as overall they sort of round out the entire story and give us a lot more to work with. So without further ado and rambling, I'm going to jump straight into my very late review of my games of 2025, and I promise this year I will be better. First game on my list, starting at number 14, is Life is Strange Double Exposure. Life is Strange Double Exposure is the latest entry in the beloved series created by Deck 9. It's an episodic, choice-driven adventure game which, I'll not lie, I was hyped for. We're revisiting Max Caulfield, the OG protagonist, the girl with the rewind powers who may or may not have saved Arcadia Bay. My first thoughts, oh hell yeah, a Max and Chloe reunion incoming? But no. Unfortunately, Chloe isn't here. She's completely absent from the game, and how is it explained? A single line in a conversation that kinda stung. Okay, maybe it's not that bad. After all, I chose the other option for the OG ending.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Yeah, I would have liked to have had the team back together, but given the choice that can be made at the end of the old Life is Strange game, I get it. I understand the decision here to remove Chloe from the game. It makes sense, and I really can't be mad about it. Double Exposure reintroduces us to Max Caulfield. She's now a successful photographer and has been invited to Caledon University as their photographer in residence for the year. And what does that mean? She gives lectures and teaches students at Caledon what it means to be a photographer. Though older and more experienced, we can still see that Max is haunted by the events that unfolded in Arcadia Bay, primarily through text messages and interactions that delve into her past. Her relationships are strained, struggling, especially when it comes to her parents. This can all be seen by going through her phone. I'd recommend it. It'll help you understand why Max sometimes acts the way she does, whether that's reacting negatively, pushing in where she really shouldn't, or overreacting in some elements. The game primarily focuses around Max, Saphir for short, and Moses, 3 close friends and colleagues who work at Caledon University. The beginning of the game gives us a chance and opportunity to get to know these characters and some of the supporting cast who we'll get to know along the way. However, as the first episode reaches its climax, the unthinkable happens. Saphir is killed, and it's Max who finds her. Distraught by the loss of a friend and the strange events surrounding her death, Max takes it upon herself to find out why Saphir was killed and who would do this to her. Tapping into her latent powers in hopes that she can discover the truth, Max comes to find that her powers have developed since the events of Arcadia Bay, and she now possesses a new ability, the power to cross timelines, and in this second timeline, Safi is alive, but she's in danger. Fearing she'll lose Safi a second time, Max, whilst continuing to investigate Safi's death in her timeline, begins using her powers to piece together the information that will keep Safi safe and reveal who her killer is. Murder mystery meets supernatural powers. That sounds incredible, right? I thought so too. But unfortunately, this game wasn't able to grip me or keep my attention. That's not me calling the game bad by any means. This game is pretty good, but I just wasn't having as much fun as I initially thought I was going to. I was so excited to see Max again, to see how she's doing, but the game, to me, it wasn't as gripping as Life is Strange or True Colours, and that led me not to finish it, and I'd reached quite a pivotal moment as well. Regardless of that, this game has some really incredible moments that are worth a mention. Like the supporting cast, they're super fun and interesting. Alongside ours, they all have their own unique stories going on, which are worth exploring and help you get to understand and learn more about these characters, develop relationships, and maybe even date. I would suggest indulging in these side stories, not only for the characters, but I predict befriending them will benefit us in the future. The music, as always, is fantastic. The songs all suit the vibes perfectly and help set the tone. These games are always incredible for their music choices. And we're reconnecting with an old friend, Max. We're getting to see how she's doing, where her life is leading, hopefully help her heal from the guilt and trauma she's obviously feeling after the events of Arcadia Bay. Life is Strange Double Exposure is not a bad game at all. It's gorgeous. It has great music, a solid concept, and if you can look past some of the cringy dialogue...
No way. The soup future is in my hands. Oofa doofa. Come here, my sharp little friends. Fuck. Size does matter. I'm going to have to find a way to get up there. Tell your bladder it's my pleasure. Are you a campfire? 'Cause you're smoking hot, and I want some more. Cringe.
It has some really funky, unique characters who really help bring the world to life. Do I think it's worth a play? Yes. Because it's my opinion, and your opinion may differ to mine. And I want you to make your own choice, not just follow mine. I'll certainly go back one day and try again. Doing this small review, I might have actually talked myself back into giving it another go. Coming up at lucky number 13 is Pokemon Legends ZA. Now, I was initially on the fence about this game. If I'm honest, I didn't think I was going to buy it. After Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, Scarlet and Violet, I was having so many second thoughts about Pokemon, primarily. What in the world has happened to Pokemon? We had such great games like Black and White, Ultra Sun and Moon, Platinum, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Legends Arceus, where so much love and time were put into these games. Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, Scarlet and Violet just didn't feel like they held that same affection. To be honest, to me, they felt really empty. You know I'm a sucker for a story or character-driven game. But these games recently, they felt like they lacked that. Particularly Scarlet and Violet. The story is crammed right into the end of the game after your full journey is completed, and that's that. No real end game, nothing new to really explore, unless you buy the DLC that is, which I'm not willing to do. I worried Legends ZA would do the same thing and be disappointing. However, because I love Legends Arceus and had some semblance of hope that Legends ZA might be the same, I bit the bullet, and I bought the game. And you know what? Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I say enjoying it, that's because I've yet to complete this game. When my dumbass discovered how easy shiny hunting is, I thought it would be so much fun to play the entire game as electric type only trainer with a full team of shiny Pokemon. I am regretting my choices. I'm currently 300 hours in and still hunting shiny Helioptile. But at least I have 3 boxes of random shiny Pokemon to make up for that. Editing bright time here, I finally managed to find my little Helioptile. This is Sour Patch. Isn't he cute? It only took me another hour to find him. It was just by chance I happened upon him, and I freaking love him. So now I can finally carry on with this game and see what it actually holds. Legends CA has us return to the Kalos region, more so Lumio City. The city has developed since the events of X and Y and has begun to integrate Pokemon into their everyday lives through the use of wild zones. These zones are specially crafted areas throughout the city, designed for a variety of Pokemon from grassy areas to rivers, graveyards, sand dunes and so on. Wild zones aren't the only places where you can find Pokemon, however. They wander the streets of Lumio City, can be found hanging out in alleyways, in rivers, or on roofs of buildings. Some of the locations of these Pokemon, I have been questioning though. Though different to the Lumiose City we know, it still feels kind of familiar, from landmarks, buildings, such as the lab and the boutiques. Oh, and the music. Pokemon has always excelled when it comes to soundtracks. This time we have remixes of the original music from X and Y, and they're pretty good, especially the music for the Mega Pokemon battles. This one is a bop. Mega Pokemon make a return in this entry. In fact, the story revolves around them. Lumiose City has been suffering with spikes of Mega Energy. Why? No one really knows, but the energy has been causing wild Pokemon to unexpectedly Mega Evolve. We, as up-and-coming trainers, are tasked with assisting Quasartico in getting to the root of the problem by battling and calming these wild Pokemon before they lose control. Quasartico? Oh yeah, these guys are 100% the bad guys. I mean, just look at them. Jet's overall appearance screams bad guy. And you can't tell me she doesn't give Rose and Lusamine vibes. And Vinny. Don't even get me started on his Lysandre ass bitch. Like I said, I'm not done with the game. And so far, yeah, I'm having fun. Sure, it's not exactly like Legends Arceus, which I feel is kind of a letdown. I really enjoyed the fluidity of throwing Pokeballs and filling the Pokedex quest in that game. I understand why it's been removed from this one. We're in the future now and Pokeballs have changed. And we also understand Pokemon a lot better. But I really miss those quests, especially the ones that had me using Azelf and making it explode 70 times. Yeah, I am having fun. I would recommend this game for the updated battling mechanics, the exploration, the music, and the sense of nostalgia it brings. There is nothing mind-blowing about Legends EA. It's a mindless, simple game. It can be really tedious and repetitive. You do spend an awful lot of time grinding points to get battle passes, so you can then battle a high-ranking trainer and move up the alphabet grading system, where you can then eventually meet with Jet and Vinny and get a wish or something granted. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention at that point. It's either that or you're capturing 50 of the same type of Pokemon to level up Mabel's requests, so you can get a Master Ball or a Shiny Charm, which obviously I don't need. It's a simple game, and yeah, it can be fun if you're looking for surface level entertainment. Moving on to number 12, we have Five Nights at Freddy's Secrets of the Mimic. I'm not gonna lie, I nearly forgot I played this game, and that's not because it's not memorable. I'd played it on the boys' profile when I went to visit him once, and just completely forgot that I'd played it. So, before now, I'd never really played a Five Nights at Freddy's game. I followed the lore out of morbid curiosity, and because I used to watch Markiplier play it when I was younger. To be honest, I never really fancied the stress of the original games or trying to learn the mechanics. It was just too much for me. I mean, when you witness someone getting jump scared by Foxy rushing down a corridor and then obviously making pants cake, it's just sometimes enough to put you off a game. Secrets of the Mimic, on the other hand, looked more interesting. Kind of like my horror, the style of horror I like. The sneaking around, the hiding, chases and whatnot. Plus, there are collectibles. And I love me some collectibles. Secrets of the Mimic was created by Steel Wool Studios. It's a survival horror game with its own unique take on the genre. This entry to the franchise takes place early on in the FNAF timeline, I think. We're taking on the role of Arnold, a technician at Fazbear Entertainment. After a 36-hour shift, he's on his way home when Dispatch contacts him with a new assignment. Head to Murray's Costume Manor, a facility that sells, rents out and houses mascot costumes, animatronics and amusement attractions. Their company has recently surrendered all their work to Fazbear Entertainment. However, now that collection is due, they've fallen weirdly silent. Because of this, Arnold has been tasked with entering the manor and retrieving the company's property. Easy, right? Or at least that's how it seems. Upon entry, we soon learn that this place might not be as empty as we first thought. Dispatch seems to think that there's something in here with us, or at least they're telling us they're noticing movement. And as we progress, we learn that there's a violent endoskeleton roaming the halls and hunting down anyone who dares enter its domain. So, time to leave, right? No, Dispatch still wants us to collect the company's property. So between collecting the company's property and trying to escape, we now have to avoid a murderous endoskeleton as it hops from lovable mascot outfit to lovable mascot outfit, mimicking the behaviours and chasing us around the building. Fun, right? Like a Resident Evil game, minus the infected, the guns, and the big scary chases. The game was a lot of fun, and it grows progressively harder as you work your way through the manor. It pushes you to pause, think, and find creative ways to outsmart the machine. In the same breath, it can be tedious and annoying. The Mimic has no chill, and it doesn't give you a break. At first, that can be really scary. You think you're safe, but then you hear it. The familiar noise that tells you it's jumped into a nearby costume and it's on the hunt. After doing this same routine 3 or 4 times, it kind of becomes frustrating. I had so many interactions where I left the Mimic in one room and entered a new room to do some backtracking and collecting some items, only for the damn thing to spawn on me. Not all the chases are the same though. They make sure to have some very unique iterations. Like the Music Man slowly creeping after you as you try and solve a puzzle, or building your own animatronic suit whilst trying to avoid the mimic, or the cat appearing and disappearing in your path, or the Jack-in-the-Box clown that drags itself after you. Now that was creepy. They have some really cool chases between the sneaking and hiding. With the story comes elements of a mystery that are discovered through information left throughout the building. This is primarily following the story of Edwin Murray, an inventor and owner of Murray's Costume Manor. These pieces of information help you build an understanding of the world around you. They explain how the manor fell into the state it is now, what happened to Edwin, his family, and all their employees. The more information you collect, the more you will learn, and this influences the ending. Like all FNAF games, there are multiple endings, and this one's made up of 3. A bad ending, a good ending, and a secret ending. All of them worth a watch, as they all add some interesting elements to the lore. Me? I got the good ending, though it didn't make me feel so good afterwards. Would I say this game's amazing? No. But it's a great survival horror game. Danger lurks around every corner, and you're limited to what you can work with. You have nothing to keep you safe other than your wits and your knowledge of the surroundings. And the fact that Mimic can jump between outfits is what makes it scarier, especially in the beginning. There isn't too much in the way of music, the odd thing here and there, but the music's mostly used for sound effects, or atmospheric noises, to help build tension and put you on edge. Unless you're deep in the lore, the story isn't that spectacular. You have to build it yourself from what you learn along the way, and if you miss pieces, you're not going to really understand what's going on, and you might be left feeling a little underwhelmed. Either way, I had fun. It was a nice change of pace from gruesome horror to lively, bright, almost playful horror. The next game on my list at number 11 is a little niche. Not many people seem to know of this series, and that is Neo: The World Ends With You. This is a game produced by Square Enix and follows on from the first game in the series, The World Ends With You, though you don't have to have played the original game from 2008 to understand the game. Neo: The World Ends With You is an action RPG where you play as a character called Rindo, who is dead. He and his best friend Fret were killed in an accident, and when they awaken, they found themselves in the underground, or UG, a world that runs parallel to Shibuya. No one can see them, but they can certainly see everyone else, and creatures known as Noise that will attack if you get too close. Upon arrival, the pair learn that they are now part of what is known as the Reaper's Game, a game that is played over 7 days. The guys must work together to solve riddles given to them each day by the leader of the Reapers, the Game Master, in order to score points. The team with the most points at the end of the 7 days gets a wish granted, and the team scoring the lowest points are erased. Their souls destroyed, they are gone forever. When Rindo and Fret join the game, they learn that one team has been on top for weeks, if not months, and each time they win, they make the same request. The game continues for just 1 more week, forcing unwilling participants to risk their lives for another week, when all they want to do is go home. Rindo and Fret, along with friends they meet along the way, are determined to take down this top team, the Ruin Bringers, and free everyone from this game of life and death. I had a blast with this game. I love the story from the original game, but they really seem to up the antics in this one, and I found myself hooked and eager to help my team in achieving their goals of escape. The combat is so much fun. I thought it'd be a bit tedious after a while, similar to how battling in the original game was, but nope. It was a lot more hack and slash and button mashy. Kind of what I needed at the time, something a little mindless. The battles rely on items called pins, and these pins give the users powers. This could be to set things on fire, throw items, cause tornadoes, or throw out chains and trap enemies. You can purchase or gain pins from fighting, and you're encouraged to use different types of pins to develop your own style. One thing I really love about this game is the music. Now, I've praised Life is Strange and Pokemon on their music choices, but this one has some really good tunes. There's different styles of music spread out across the different areas of Shibuya, and there's so many songs that you won't find yourself getting bored hearing the same thing over and over again. There's grungy, edgy music to poppy-like songs, rap, metal, rock. There's so much to hear, and they remix a lot of the music from the original game as well, and it was really nice to hear them again. It's a very unique style and suits the game really well, as the game hinges on style and vibes. Neo: The World Ends With You uses a mixture of 2D and 3D art. 3D is primarily used for the map and exploration, whereas 2D is used for dialogue, shared interactions between characters and displaying emotions. It's a really cool, eye-catching and exaggerated style. Typical Tetsuya Nomura art style. Overall, I really enjoyed Neo: The World Ends With You. It's a unique take on a visual novel with action RPG elements. I'd certainly recommend it if you wanted to try something just a little different from the norm. My number 10 might surprise you, because at the time of playing it, I really enjoyed the game, and if I'm honest, I expected it to rank higher. But unfortunately, Resident Evil 8 Village and Shadows of Rose sit here at number 10. Resident Evil is a series of survival horror games created by Capcom, and each game follows a variety of different cast members throughout their different stories, but they're all linked together by a common factor: a virus created by Umbrella. Resident Evil 8 and its DLC have you playing as two different characters: Ethan Winters in Village, who you may remember from Resident Evil 7, and Rose Winters in Shadows of Rose, who's Ethan and Mia's daughter. And both stories take place within the village. Kind of. Let me explain. Where Ethan's story leads us to the village, Rose's story takes place within her mind after she mentally links to an item recovered from the village 16 years prior, known as the Black God. The Black God is an ancient organism that was found underneath the village. If I delve too much into this, we're entering spoiler territory, and I am trying to avoid doing that in this video. Ethan's story into the village takes place 3 years and 6 months after the events of Resident Evil 7. Ethan, along with Mia, and their baby daughter Rose have relocated and settled down in Eastern Europe with the assistance of the BSAA. They're living relatively normal lives, until one evening when they're attacked by a rogue unit of the BSAA, led by none other than Chris Redfield, someone they trusted and had been an ally previously. During this attack, Mia is killed, whilst Ethan and Rose are apprehended and taken by Chris and his team. However, something along the way goes wrong, and when Ethan awakens, he finds himself in the wreckage of a crash. The guards all dead, and Rose missing. Following footsteps in the snow that lead to a trail of blood, Ethan ends up in the village, where he learns his daughter is here, and in a lot of danger if he doesn't act soon. Rose's story, on the other hand, takes her back to the village, also a memory of it. Clearly, Ethan was successful in his mission, but I'm not going to give you details. The reason Rose comes back to the village, or a memory of the village that is because she has plans, and these plans are to remove a part of herself that she's grown to hate. With the assistance of an ally, Rose is able to connect to the Black God and enter a memory of the village, where she's told an item is hidden, something called the Purifying Crystal, and if she can find it, she can use it to remove that part of herself that she's grown to hate. But things are never as straightforward as they seem. These memories don't only hold memories of the village, but the people who once lived here, and they will stop at nothing to destroy Rose. These games are intense. From the characters to environments and twisted delusions, there's so much going on and a lot of excitement. In my opinion, it's a well-crafted game, but that doesn't make it perfect. There are elements to it that bring it down and sometimes make it a little bit of a slog and hard to carry on. An example would be Heisenberg's factory. That section felt really long and overwhelming with the amount of enemies thrown in your path. In that area of the game, I was stacked and packing some high-level weapons, but it really irritated me because every time I rounded a corner, yet another enemy would be stood there waiting for me to unload bullet hell on it. Cost me all my ammo. Or the first boss fight in Shadows of Rose. Maybe I just didn't understand that fight very well, but come on. Why is this such a slog to deal with? Though there were sections that were a letdown, other areas made up for it. Like, I hated Moreau, but his section of the game I remember really well, and not only because of the gross vomit snot, it was the section maneuvering around the giant fish. Or in Shadows of Rose, House Beneviento, that entire section was nightmare fuel. In the base game, we needed something like that. This section of the game is my favourite. It was so clever, the correct amount of difficulty, given where you were in the game, and terrifying. They did that part so well, and I loved hearing or seeing people's reactions to it.
What happens if I... What happens if I don't look at her? Oh! 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 No. 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 No, no, no. Oh, that's the worst thing in the world.
Oh my you. I thought they were joking. There's gonna be more of them, isn't there? Run, run. You game.
So many people have told me that that section alone has scared them out of playing the game or unlocked new fears for them, and they will not be playing Shadows of Rose again. And I think that's incredible. Top tier fear factor. Without Shadows of Rose, the end of Village would have been satisfying enough. It came full circle and gave us answers to questions that we never really thought we'd get the answer to, or maybe just thought were video game logic moments. Shadows of Rose rounded out the story and explained a few missing details and let us see the outcome of choices that we made in Village, like how we got where we were, what happened to characters, and it also gave us a bit of hope. Had the game ended with either ending, I think I would have been fine and happy enough, but it was nice to get a full story. Resident Evil Village and Shadows of Rose are not perfect games. They are scary and a lot of fun until you reach the end game, when you're stacked full of weapons and nothing really scares you anymore. At that point, you do begin to feel a bit burnt out. The last sections begin to feel a bit too long, especially in Village's case. That final stretch, it was more like a mob rush than it was a survival horror, and when you know you're reaching that end point of the game, you just sort of want to get it over with, which is an unfortunate downside to Resident Evil Village. Had they shortened Heisenberg's section and maybe not had you rely on your weapons as much to progress, maybe it wouldn't have felt as tedious. But the story and reaching that climactic moment really made it worth pushing through. I enjoyed Resident Evil Village and Shadows of Rose. Not so much that I'm in a rush to go back and play them anytime soon, but I have fond memories of it. Just not a Moreau. Never Moreau. My number 9 game I spammed an awful lot during the early months of 2025. And if I'm honest, I frequently get the urge to go back again because I had so much fun with it. And that game is Palworld, the game Pokemon wishes it could be. And I'm only half joking. Palworld is an action-adventure, survival, monster taming game developed by Pocket Pair. This game can be played as a single player or multiplayer. I've done both. Both are fun. The aim of the game is simple. Survive Palpago's island by crafting tools, building a base, exploring the world, capturing pals, taking down the bosses of the different towers located around the world, and making your way to the tree. I am nowhere near completing this game whatsoever. I think I've managed to beat 4 of the 5 bosses, but the last area has some really high level pals and they are regularly kicking my ass. It's a dumb, fun game. Think of Minecraft meeting Pokemon. Wait, that's just Cobblemon. Palworld is great. You can play however the heck you want. This could be a happy, peaceful life on a farm, or you could become a pal's worst nightmare and work them to the bone. Also, you can take down your enemies. The world is your oyster. The world itself is huge and there's so much to explore. It's possible to explore the entire thing by foot, but it's made much easier with mounts. There are so many pal mounts to choose from, and they all have their own unique attributes and movement speeds. The best mounts in my opinions are the flyers. I absolutely love soaring through the skies on my beacon. Some mounts are required for specific things, like deep sea fishing. You'll need a swimmer for that. Ordinary mounts will just sink or run out of stamina in the middle of the ocean, leaving you to fend for yourself. Palworld's map is regularly updated with new places, collaborations, or mechanics, and all these updates are 100% free. The last time I played, they introduced fishing. The boy and I had such a blast fishing for hours. We also made a very extremely confusing house. Please don't ask any questions. And during our time in Palworld, I met the most amazing creature ever. Herbil. Just look at him. Perfection. Herbil may be perfection, but Palworld isn't always so. Sometimes there are some weird graphical glitches, or the game can run a bit janky, the music disappears, or enemies will just run at walls. I'm sure this will all get fixed in an update, but it does make you feel a little bit confused, especially when you're climbing absolutely nothing in midair. Yet it doesn't take me out of the game, or ruin my enjoyment for that matter. I don't have much to say on this game if I'm honest. It's goofy, it's fun, especially with friends, and it's an easy game that you can just jump in and out of. There's no massive story arc to focus on, and there's no rush. You play as you want, when you want, and how you want. And if you want to take a 5-month break, that's fine. Your pals will be happy waiting for you to come back, whether that's in your farm or in your factory. Sure, it can be repetitive in the earlier stages when you're underleveled, or you find yourself running out of capture spheres and materials for crafting. The early game will have you farming materials and breaking your equipment a lot, so be prepared. Honestly, I would recommend giving this game a try. It's a good laugh, and we all deserve a chuckle every now and then. Initially, the game that sits in my number 8 spot, I wasn't enjoying, and that's because it felt very limiting and hand-holding in the beginning, which is really weird considering other games in this series don't do that. But once I gave it a chance and moved past that beginning point, I found myself really enjoying Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar by Marvelous Inc. Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar is a cozy farming sim released in 2025, which has you take on the mantle of the new farmer of Zephyrtown, after the previous farmer left some years ago. The beginning sees you meeting with the mayor of Zephyrtown, who explains the general premise of the game. Zephyrtown once used to be a bustling bazaar town. However, after the last farmer left, the bazaar slowly began to attract less and less people, and now only a handful of people visit their beautiful town on Bazaar Day. With your help, They want to rebuild the bazaar to its former glory, if not better. It's a big ask, but they have faith you can do it. What's different about this entry into the Story of Seasons franchise is the way items are sold. Usually at the end of the day, we deposit items into a basket. The items are then collected by someone and sold for us. In Grand Bazaar, once a week, a bazaar day is held, where we, ourselves, have to sell all the items we've produced over that week. So the gimmick of this game, alongside building our own farm, is managing and developing our own stall. I kid you not, it is so much fun. This mechanic really makes you care and look after your animals and crops, as freshness and quality are very important factors to consider. The higher the quality and freshness, the more money you'll make. Day by day, the freshness of an item will tick down if it's not stored correctly, and the quality with it will decrease. Leave an item too long and it'll rot, be unsellable, and leave you out of pocket. Money is very important when it comes to this game. Each bazaar level will give you a goal to reach, money-wise. Reaching that goal will help improve the bazaar and attract more people to attend, who in turn might open their own stalls. The requests that you receive for these stalls aren't really difficult. It could be locate 3 missing chickens, give a person X amount of items, or reach a certain friendship milestone. They're quite easy, to be honest. It's important to build relationships in this game as the townsfolk help develop and drive the story forward. So it's important to work together with the townsfolk, as not only are you helping them, but they will help you achieve your goals. Speaking of the townsfolk, the cast in this game are amazing. Coming from a game like Story Seasons of Wonderful Life, my personal favourite entry, Marvelous have really improved on the character interactions. After talking to characters in A Wonderful Life numerous times, you'll notice the dialogue doesn't really change, whereas the people in Zephyrtown will comment on your achievements, the weather, whether you passed out, animals, the bazaar, and as your relationships deepen, they'll share more information with you about themselves. The interactions with these characters are always fresh and interesting, making you want to engage with them more. And sometimes it can make it hard to decide on a favourite character or who you want to marry in the future. Though for me, that really isn't a hard choice because my favourite character is Arata and no one can change my mind about him. Look at him, he's so handsome. It really doesn't hurt that it reminds me of the boy either. Speaking of pretty, the character designs are beautiful and the use of character portraits really helps bring the characters to life. You can turn these off if you want, but I don't see why you would. The environments are also stunning, vibrant on sunny days, dull on rainy days, and chilling on winter's days. The game overall is very visually pleasing to look at. I've had an awful lot of fun playing this game in my spare time. It's very easy to pick up for 10 minutes or a couple of hours. You can play how you want, whether that's as a farmer, a rancher, fisher, or general trash collector. I love farming sims, and this is a fantastic farming sim, and I would really recommend it if you're looking for a nice, easy, chill, cozy game. There are a few games on my list that I've yet to complete, but I'm slowly working towards completing them. My game at number 7 is another one of these games that I've yet to complete, but that has not stopped it from being one of my favourite games this year, and that is Digimon Story Time Stranger. With the release of a demo and the strong marketing behind Digimon Story Time Stranger, a lot of people in the Pokemon fandom who'd felt burnt out and let down by Pokemon turned to Digimon, and the game received an amazing reception, scoring highly with fans and introducing a whole new group of people to the fandom. It's nice to see the series finally get some well-deserved recognition, as the Digimon Story games have all been incredible, with strong stories, well-developed characters, well-polished world, graphics, music, and there's a lot of options of Digimon, and there's no limitations to Digimon either, i.e. trading. Yes, there are some Digimon in the games that can't be unlocked until you've completed the game, but at least they're still obtainable, and there. Digimon Story Time Stranger is an RPG developed by Media Vision and published by Bandai Namco. Your first choice in the game is which character you'd rather be, Dan Yuki or Kanon Yuki. If you feel you made the wrong choice, you can switch the models mid-game. The characters are also renamable, and there are outfit customizations available if you're not keen on their attire. Some of the outfits need purchasing in real life, mind you. After a short introduction, you're thrust straight into the game, into the middle of Shinjuku during a crisis. Not much information is shared with you immediately, but as you progress in the first section, you begin to learn more. You travel through Tokyo and eventually arrive at a protest being held in front of a large wall that seems to be hiding something. You're here to investigate digital anomalies. These are digital interferences that cross over from cyberspace into the real world, and there's one anomaly beyond the wall. Taking a few actions, you're able to sneak past security and make it beneath the wall, along the way facing many different levels of Digimon and being given your first Digimon partner. Beyond the wall, everything is in ruin, and you discover that there's a war unfolding between Digimon right at this moment. You and your allies try to make it to the top of the building in time to stop the war, but it's too late, and you're witness to a massive catastrophic event known as the Shinjuku Inferno that destroys Tokyo. Game over, right? No. When your character wakes up, they learn they have somehow been transported into the past, 8 years into the past, and it's up to them and the friends they make along the way to discover what happened and stop this war and the destruction of the world by Digimon. So I'm about 30 hours into the game, and I don't think I'm reaching the end game anytime soon. But I'll tell you now, this story is amazing. I'm hooked. Though the story is really good, sometimes the character interactions can be a little bit stiff and awkward. It could be due to translation. This is a Japanese game translated into English, and things don't always translate well, but it doesn't ruin my enjoyment if I'm honest. I find myself laughing at these situations more often than I should. I think one of the things I find very disappointing about this game is your character's silent. I understand why this is. The character is a representation of you and your morals, but yeah, I don't know. I would have preferred to hear them speak, especially given you answer an awful lot of questions and the character that you don't choose is regularly in contact with you and talks. You don't see too much in the opening, but this game is gorgeous. From the environments to Digimon designs, cutscenes, you can see a lot of time and polish has gone into this game, which makes sense. It's been in development since 2022. Speaking of Digimon, there's around 452 available in the base game, and more planned to be released with the DLCs. Every Digimon has a possibility of digivolving into every Digimon. And that may seem impossible, given when you go into the Digivolution menu, you're usually given limited options. What's unique about Digimon is they can digivolve and then de-digivolve, so they can go forwards or backwards in their Digivolution stages. There's 6 Digivolution types: Baby, In Training, Rookie, Champion, Ultimate, and Mega. There are some deviations like Armor or DNA Digivolutions, but we'll ignore them for now, because they either require some items or certain presets to be met. Digimon Story Time Stranger is a very unique take on the monster catching game in that you don't technically capture the monsters. Instead, you analyze them to create them. There are no capture mechanics. All you need to do is encounter the Digimon a set number of times, and once it's scanned to 100% or more, you can then create it as your own. You can train them or digitize them to make your team stronger, or you can do what I do, leave them in the box, allow them to gain passive experience, and then digivolve them to fill out your Digivice. If you're looking for a new style of creature catching game, I would definitely recommend this one. I'm having tons of fun. The story is engaging, the Digimon are all interesting to work with, the game is gorgeous, there are mountable Digimon as well, making traveling quicker. You have a main story and there are side quests available along the way, which open up new skills and abilities to digivolve your Digimon into new interesting forms that you might not know exist. You can also speed up battling or switch to auto battling and eat popcorn, like me. I would definitely suggest you try the demo if you're interested. Another game I've yet to finish, and is currently sitting at number 6 in my list, is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I love Final Fantasy X and 15, they are 2 of my favourite games, but 7 holds a special place in my heart. As a teenager, my online friends and I were heavily involved in the Final Fantasy VII fandom. We would write our own stories, watch way too many videos, play the games far too much, and sometimes we even made AMVs. We were massive nerds. So when they announced they were remaking Final Fantasy VII, you can imagine I was feral. I can't explain to you the excitement I felt for these games, but want to know a really weird secret? I will put off playing these games until I simply can't any longer, and that's because I don't want the game to end. PlayStation tells me I'm about 33% of the way through the game, and that's nice. But do you want to know how many hours I've put into the game? 50 hours. And that's purely from exploring and doing everything available on the map so far. I think I've covered 2 sections of the map, the starting zone and the second area, right before Rufus's coronation. Oh yeah, that coronation sequence. I perfected that coronation sequence just so I could have that time with Rufus and make him proud. And proud he was. Proud he was. But I just told you a lie. I'm in Barrett's hometown. The last time I played was April 2025. Wow. I'd just begun clearing the missions in Corel. Wow! Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a continuation of Final Fantasy VII Remake, created by Square Enix and released on February 29th, 2024. Wow! I've owned this game nearly 2 years, and I've yet to complete it. Give me strength. It's an action RPG following the story of Cloud Strife, Tifa Lockhart, Barrett Wallace, Aerith Gainsborough, and Red 13, as they attempt to flee from Shinra after the events of Final Fantasy VII Remake led to the vast destruction of Midgar and the death of President Shinra. They're also on the trail of Sephiroth, who was once a legendary hero believed to be dead after being driven insane by his quest for knowledge to understand the situation around his creation and birth. However, he seems to have returned and is plotting the destruction of the world. And that's the entire story I know so far. To be honest, I've done really well to avoid spoilers. Actually, I've been really evil in trying to avoid spoilers. So evil that I've turned off notifications of friends' YouTube channels who I know have been playing the game or have played the game to avoid anything remotely spoilery. Please accept my sincere apology. If you haven't played Final Fantasy Remake, then what the heck have you been doing with your life? You'll have likely seen bits and pieces of the game floating about the internet, especially around the releases and at Game Awards. These games have been nominated for and received a few awards, such as Most Anticipated Game and Best Music Score. The graphical style is a mixture of realism with fantasy elements. It's very detailed, vibrant, and expansive. I play on the PlayStation 5, and the graphics are a little limited due to the hardware, but it's still gorgeous. PC, on the other hand, is able to push the game to its max, and it is honestly unreal. That first moment when you walk out into the open world, holy crap, it is breathtaking. And the music made this moment so much more. I had goosebumps throughout this entire sequence. I mentioned music earlier and how Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has won Best Score and Music Award, and I'm really not surprised. This soundtrack is gorgeous. I often use this music for background noise when I'm writing or just to turn off my brain during stressful moments. The music is so nice and light and relaxing, depending on the track. A track like One Winged Angel will only gear me up for a fight. I'm looking forward to continuing this game. I can imagine it's going to take me a long time due to the size of the world and the amount of things that you can do, from playing the piano to hunting down summons, completing Chadley's missions, and playing Fort Condor. This world is so expansive, and it's full to the brim of things to do. My game at number 5, I played with a great friend of mine, Shadow Talaga. And honestly, playing the game with him made this experience 10 times better. He has the full playthrough of Split Fiction over on his YouTube channel. I'll link it below if you're interested. Split Fiction is an action-adventure game developed by Hazelights. It's a 2-player game, so you're gonna need a friend or a partner or someone you trust enough to play the game with. Shadow and I may be best friends, but we were still constantly trolling each other throughout the series. In Split Fiction, you and your gaming buddy take on the role of a character each, Mio and Zoe. The pair are writers who have never met before, but have both been invited to Radar Publishing to test out the experimental simulation device. There are 4 other writers who have been invited along to test the machine as well, but we learn nothing about them, so they're not really important. This machine allows people to experience their books in reality. Think of it like virtual reality, but instead of a headset, you're wrapped in a bubble and fall into a state of suspended animation. Suspicious of the experiment, Mio changes her mind. She doesn't really want to take part anymore. The Radar staff aren't so willing to let her leave. A minor scrap unfolds, and that leads to Mio falling into the same bubble as Zoe, and their dreamlike states merging into one. These two are complete polar opposites with their interests. Zoe enjoys all things fantasy, where Mio prefers sci-fi. They begin in a fantasy world environment, but a glitch in the system transports them into one of Mio's sci-fi adventures. The pair agree to work together through their stories in hopes of escaping. However, they stumble across the glitch again, and it's expanding and causing the system to malfunction. And it's here they learn that they aren't here to test the machine. The machine is designed to steal their ideas. Together, they decide to hunt down the glitches to destabilize the system and escape. Each level sees you jumping between fantasy and sci-fi worlds, battling ice kings and racing against dying stars, taming dragons, or rolling around as a tiny robot sphere. It's a truly incredible experience, and each level is very well designed. They make you think and really work together to achieve your goals. Like reaching side stories, for instance. Each level has around 3 side stories created from the minds of Mio or Zoe. These stories are only really short. They may have you playing as witches, taking part in game shows, surfing around in a world of sand, racing in a world of kites, or witnessing this little piggy go to market. It was a very traumatizing experience for the pair of us. One moment we were happy, jumping, springy, farting little pigs, and the next we were hot dogs, cooking ourselves, ready to be eaten. And that is an experience that is going to stick with us for a very, very long time. The characters in this game, Mio and Zoe, are very likable and easy to grow attached to. As the game progresses, we learn more about them and we see their relationship develop. This event is something they both dearly needed. The pair were struggling and felt alone in the real world. It wasn't obvious at first, but you could see their struggles through their different stories. One of the best parts of this game was to see them go from complete strangers to best friends, and to experience it with one of my best friends. It was beautiful, truly amazing. We had a lot of emotions occurring during this series, even if we had a habit of tormenting each other or making some incredibly dumb mistakes. I'll 100% say you should share this game with someone you want to have a fun, magical journey with. The game is great, visually stunning, clever dynamics, fantastic story building and character development. The music is so nice and suits the game so well. The worlds are all unique, creative, and tons of fun. Definitely seek out all the side stories. They are hilarious and fun little breaks from the super serious main story. The boy doesn't know it yet, but we're going to be playing this game together very soon. Nothing. Next up is probably my favourite game in the franchise, and that is Resident Evil 7 Biohazard with Not a Hero and End of Zoe included at number 4. This game I know you were all really excited for me to jump into. It's the scariest Resident Evil game after all. Or at least, that's what you all told me. I laughed you all off at first. I mean, what in the world could beat the nightmares that were Mr. X's nemesis? Jack. It was Jack. That roaming chaser of a man had me by the throat on multiple occasions. I was not okay. I thought Mr. X was rough. His little stompies growing ever closer scared me, and Nemesis scared me to the point I had to turn the game down. But Jack had me screeching and cringing in real life. Hearing him taunt me as he rushed up behind me filled me with sheer panic. It was true terror I don't think I've really felt before. Maybe it's because the game takes place in first person and it feels more personal, like it's a more direct attack on you. That freaking man had me questioning life choices and whether YouTube was the correct path for me to continue taking. Now let's be honest, it's not Jack who was the scariest person in this game. He was a pain in the ass, I'll give you that, but he had nothing on Grandma. I'd be minding my own business, wandering about the house, I'd turn a corner and see Grandma staring me down, or I'd be leaving the basement and she'd be humming up the stairs. What the hell, lady? She lives in my head rent-free. And sometimes I half expect to turn around and just see her waiting for me. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, Not a Hero, and End of Zoe are the 7th entries, if not obvious from the title, in the mainline Resident Evil series. This game focuses on the Baker family and Mia. The Baker family aren't your average family. In fact, there's something not quite right with them. Daddy, Jack, is psychotic. Marguerite, crazy. Lucas, insane. And Zoe? Well, she seems to be the only level-headed person out of the bunch. For now, that is. Well, you see, our only interaction with her has been through phone calls, and that time she stapled our hand back onto our wrist. Yeah, because that's how that works. Mia isn't part of this family. How she ended up here, we aren't really sure, but she wants us to come find her. In this entry, we play as Ethan Winters, husband to Mia Winters, who we are believed to be dead for 3 years. One day, out of the blue, she contacts Ethan and gives us information on where she is, the Baker house. On arrival, we explore the house a little and find Mia in the basement, but only after we've been witness to some very worrisome events. We free her from a cage and try to escape. Whilst looking for an exit, Mia just disappears. We search for her, but there's no evidence that she's here anymore. After a short while of looking, we hear banging on a door, which leads us back to the basement. And on investigation, we find Mia, but she's not quite herself. She lunges and she attacks us, and in the heat of it all, we kill her. Only for that psycho witch to come back and take off our hand. Another fight follows, and once again we knock out Mia, only for a man to then find us and welcome poor Ethan to the family before brutally knocking him out. I know families can be a little bit crazy and have their own drama, but this isn't the family for me. We're introduced to the family, minus Zoe and Mia, and each one of them is hellbent on hunting us down. I will agree with you, this game is scary. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Capcom nailed the horror in this game. The jump scares continued throughout. Granted, they toned down after Jack and Marguerite were no longer chasing you, but between exploded boxes and Grandma, they still shook me to my core. Like all Resident Evil games, Biohazard loses the overall scare factor once you have all the weapons on hand. Enemies aren't as scary or as intimidating as they once were once you have a couple of rounds of shotgun ammo and good aim, but not me. My aim is bad. That's not to say the game is bad, but I would have liked the worry and fear of chasers like Jack to persist a little bit longer, or have more sections where you needed to hide and sneak around. The game suffered again from a section being a little bit too long and tedious. I'm not delving into that section because spoilers, but I understand why it's here. It's lore and backstory building. I could have just done with this section being a little bit shorter, maybe. Not a Hero and End of Zoe. These are going to be hard to talk about without spoiling too much of the base game, but these DLCs were great. They round out the story and give us some finality to what happened once we escaped the Baker's estate and what happened to the characters who were left behind. These two and the DLC Daughters really fleshed out the Resident Evil 7 story. They give us so much to work with and an understanding of how things came to be, and also a very satisfying ending. I would recommend them to anybody who wants to jump into Resident Evil 7. Oh, did I forget to mention Wesker's in the game? I did! Well, here he is! In his perfect shining glory. You all told me he was dead and gone, and I didn't believe you. And you know what? I'm damn glad I didn't. Seeing him again? Kind of. One last time really made this game for me. 10 out of 10. Would play again. We're down to my top 3 games of 2025. 2 of these 3 games I haven't actually shared with you, and one of these games I'll certainly kick myself over for not sharing it with you. But one game I am sharing with you is Silent Hill 2. My number 3 for 2025. Had I completed this game sooner, this game may have scored a little bit higher on my list, But given where I am, it's currently sitting at number 3. I've never actually played a Silent Hill game before, and I tell you now, this game is wacky. Wacky, trippy, and creepy as heck. Resident Evil almost feels like a cakewalk in comparison to this. Silent Hill 2 isn't your traditional scary. It has its moments like sudden leg attacks or Pyramid Head launching you into another world. It's more psychological than typical jump scares. It gets you thinking and trying to process what the heck is going on as you try and untangle the truth. Silent Hill 2 is a remake of the same game made in 2001. It's a survival horror game developed by the Bloober team and published by Konami. You play as James Sunderland. He's made his way to the outskirts of a town called Silent Hill after receiving a letter from his wife. In her letter, she says she'll be waiting there for him. The only problem is, Mary is dead. She's been dead for 3 years now, so who sent him the letter? Curious, and perhaps a little bit hopeful Mary may still be alive, James enters Silent Hill, only to be faced with an array of monsters and characters who have all been drawn to this place like him, but for their own reasons, like searching for family or running from the police, or simply just waking up here. So I'm not exactly sure where the story's going to lead, but my current working theory is that characters like Maria and Laura are stages of Mary, trapped in James's version of Silent Hill, and as we progress, they will help him grieve and accept the passing of his wife. I think we will see Mary, but not the real Mary, a version of her that James must face. I said James is Silent Hill. See, I'm thinking Silent Hill is like a state of mind. I think this because when we met Laura in the hospital and spoke to her of monsters, she seemed confused by this. She didn't seem to think there were any monsters about. Well, no monsters other than us. I think everyone in Silent Hill are facing their own version of this world, based on their current mental and emotional state. It could explain how Eddie was able to find edible pizza and ice cream. To us, well, to James, this place is mouldy and rotten. Then again, Maria can see the monsters, and Eddie saw the body in the fridge. Great, now I'm just confused and my head hurts. The atmosphere of this game really adds to the chilling spooks that await you in the fog. It's cold, claustrophobic, eerie and unsettling. You can't see that far ahead of you and you've no idea what's lurking within. Maybe the fog is another metaphor, a metaphor for James's grief, that his mind is too clouded and closed off to the outside world, that he can't really see what's important. Only time will tell if I'm correct. They make excellent use of the sounds as well. There's a hum of music in the background, but it's quick to fade in and out to help build suspense and put you on edge. Or sometimes you find yourself suddenly assaulted with loud, sudden bursts of sound, like sirens or creatures scuttling in the walls. Bloober have done a fantastic job with the tension and gripping you. I'm aware that Silent Hill games have multiple endings depending on how you play and what you discover. I'm really excited for my ending because I feel like it's going to be a stinger and is going to reveal some darkness about James. I don't know. Something in my gut is telling me not to trust this man. So far, we've met a variety of monsters, from body bag people to sexy legs and bugs, nurses, pyramid head, and a caged ceiling dweller. The designs of these creatures are incredible, really weird and outside of the box, but I think they represent something. What that is, I just don't know. I'm having a lot of fun with Silent Hill 2. I was thinking it was going to be on the same path as Resident Evil. It's nothing like I expected, but I like it. This game puts me on edge, and it gives me some really fantastic spooks, as well as getting the old brain cogs turning. I like the limited ammo and how it makes you work for things. The puzzles are really clever and they kind of make you feel a little bit smart when you figure them out. This isn't a game for everybody, but I think it's a hell of a lot of fun. Editing Bright Time here, and let's be real, I was so far off the mark. Some of the thoughts and ideas that I had, they were extremely close, but they just weren't quite there. They were really cool and amazing concepts to think of, but I just missed the mark with this one. And I'm just gonna say, now I've actually completed the game, there's a chance this is actually my number 2 rather than my number 3, because this game was phenomenal and I can't get enough of it. I've actually started another playthrough in my spare time. So my number 2 is a very late entry to this list. I only got the game for Christmas, but I spammed it, and I spammed it a lot. I spammed it so much, and I loved it that much that I thought it might actually win and become my number 1 game. But unfortunately, Astrobot just lost out to being number 1. Astrobot is a game that I didn't realise I needed in my life. It gave me such nostalgic feelings of being a kid again at Christmas and playing Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon with my sister. It was such a nice feeling, and what's really funny is both those characters are actually in this game. Astrobot is a platformer created by Team Asobi and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment in 2024. You play as a tiny cute robot called Astro, who you can later dress up in a variety of outfits. My outfit of choice was the bear. You're traveling through space with all your tiny bot friends when your PS5 mothership is attacked by an alien. This green goober steals your ship's CPU and destroys the mothership. You and the remains of the mothership crash land on a small desert planet with no friends in sight. All 301 bots are gone. Astro is revived by the Dual Speeder, a dual sense, and together they reactivate the satellites, which give them access to the different galaxies where pieces of the mothership can be found, but also all your many bot friends. Among the bot friends, you'll find characters like Spike from Ape Escape, Loco Roco, Aloy from Horizon, Nathan Drake from Uncharted, and Kratos from God of War. And you get to play mini versions of their game as the character. I'm not gonna lie, I had far too much fun. Seeing these little bots, along with a variety of different bots from many different games, was so exciting, and it brought back so many fond memories I've had of many different games that I've played over the years. I got to see characters from Resident Evil, Bloodborne, Silent Hill, The Last of Us, Spider-Man, Devil May Cry. There were just so many. I can't remember them all. The worlds are all different and fun. There's around 90 different levels split across 6 galaxies. They range from standard levels to challenge levels, boss levels, and exclusive character levels. You can unlock levels by interacting with things within the galaxy like the stars or meteors. There's just so much to see and do. I'll admit the challenge levels can be rough. You'll need to be in the right headspace for these sometimes. They may look easy, but one wrong move will cost you. Not to brag, but I platinumed this game. That's right, I'm amazing at Astrobot, and it only took me 11 days. Okay, that seems like a lot of days, but 4 or 5 of those days I wasn't actually able to play this game, so technically it's only 7. I platinum Astrobot in 7 days. Beat that. The style is cute and cartoonish, gives off 90s vibes, and it is beautiful. You can tell a lot of attention to detail has been put into the game. All the creatures and enemies, besides the aliens, are all robots, and they all have their own unique animations and interactions with you. Some of them even aid you in finding secrets. You'll definitely need to be exploring each level thoroughly in order to find and unlock all the secrets, find all the bots and all the puzzle pieces. Some well-told secrets to access in other worlds, so make sure you explore. My personal favourites are the haunted worlds or the boss fight world with the pirate. That pirate had me on my toes and it took way too many attempts to beat. Sometimes the game uses motion controls for steering the dual speeder or climbing with the use of a power-up. I was using my portal at the time, which the boy bought me for Christmas, and sometimes that was really difficult to work with. It might work better on a controller, but I don't know. I'm currently too obsessed with my portal to give you good enough feedback. If you're looking for a fun, mindless, simple game with plenty of exploration and challenge, play Astrobot. It's super fun, full of nostalgia, and cute. The visuals are great, the gameplay is great, the music is great. You should play Astrobot. Play it now. It is time for my #1 game of 2025, and I'm really sad that I didn't share this game with you, and that is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Story and character-driven games are my bread and butter. They're my cup of tea. They're the type of games that drive me as a gamer. A game that I can get emotionally invested in, that's my kind of game. And this is the kind of game that Clair Obscur was. I'm the kind of person who wants to cry during or at the completion of a game because that tells me how devoted I was or just how involved and infatuated with the game I was. It also tells me that I'm heartbroken it's over, that my journey is ended and it's done. Things will never be the same again. Sure, I could go back and play it again, but playing it a second time doesn't always hit the same way. You know what's coming in that second playthrough, whereas in the first playthrough, it's raw emotion, raw shock, finality, heartbreak. I'm avoiding any form of spoiler whilst talking about this game, because I personally think this is a game that people need to experience for themselves. Granted, the combat style might not be to everyone's taste, but the story alone is amazing. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a turn-based role-playing game developed by Sandfall Interactive. The game follows our lead protagonist, Gustav, and his ally, Maël, who we are introduced to at a rather somber time in the game. Today is the Gamage, which at the moment means nothing to us, but from the way the streets are decorated and the citizens of Lumiere are dressed, it kinda looks like a celebration. We meet Gustav's love interest Sophie and head down to the harbour, where everyone is looking out over the ocean at a monolith in the distance, where we can see the number 34 is glowing upon the rocks. In front of the pillar is a figure who stands and with the wave of her hand changes the number to 33. And when we cut back to the citizens of Lumiere, we see people begin to fade away in a flurry of petals, and Sophie fades away too. We learn that the Gamage means erase, and anyone whose age matches the number on the pillar will disappear on this day. With the completion of every Gamage, an expedition of brave warriors set sail across the sea with a goal to reach the figure who rests in front of the monolith and put an end to her wickedness. They call her the Paintress. Before our expedition, Expedition 33, there have been 67 others who have attempted this, but none of them have been successful in their mission to destroy the Paintress. Hell, no one even knows what has happened to any of these expeditions, as no one from any of those teams has ever returned. Our journey begins the following day, as landfall is made and our expedition team is met and brutally slaughtered by a man waiting on the shore. Obviously, not everybody dies during this attack. Luckily, Gustav and a handful of other expedition members, Mael, Ciel, and Lune, survive. However, they are separated. Gustav locates each of them, and once again, they join together to complete the expedition to destroy the paintress. I'll not lie, this is a dark and very heavy game. Though this world is beautiful, magical, and full of wonders just waiting to be explored, it is brutal, and creatures called Neverons lurk around every corner, vowing to end the lives of any expeditioner who dares cross their path. There are reasons expeditions have failed, and you'll find these stories through exploration and the diaries left behind by fallen expeditioners, or the visuals in the environments from crashed boats to war grounds or enemy lairs. There's a lot of storytelling happening around us. You just need to look to understand there is a lot more going on than we know. Don't expect your journey to be full of smiles and sunshine. Sandfall were not pulling the punches with this one. To me, it's the characters that make this game, our core team. We get to experience everything, their relationships, their stories, their growth. Going in, we know nothing about them. We can see their personalities and skills in battle, but we don't really know them. The game rectifies that. During our quest, we have these moments where we can camp together and free roam. Here we can take a breather, or just take a moment in the madness, join with our allies and just talk. The camp sequences are some of the best moments in the game. There are some mandatory camp scenes, but you can set up camp as and when you want. I would suggest taking these moments to talk to your team. You will learn so much about them, like why Lune sings, what drives Ciel, and why Mael came on this journey of certain death when she's still so young. There's even a chance to romance some of the characters. Not only at camp, but during the journey do you get to understand why they are here, why they are doing this, and what this means to them. Why they can't just accept that the paintress gets to choose their end. All of them want to live, and they won't give up, even if their gamage is just around the corner. They refuse to sit down and accept it. They are such strongly written characters, and it's hard not to enjoy them. Honestly, I thought I was really going to dislike Lune. She gives off a bit of a conceited vibe that she's better than you, but she's so much more than that. She's logical, she's methodical, the voice of reason to keep you grounded in a moment of pure emotion. And Ciel, she made me think she was a dopey airhead, but she's not. She's passionate, she's focused and driven. They're all incredible. The characters alone, I promise, will make ending this game extremely hard. Do you know what else is incredible? The music. Holy crap, this soundtrack bangs. This music lives rent-free in my head. And there's this one song, Un Vie T'aimer. It did not have to go as hard as it did. Whilst writing this script, I was listening to the music and honestly I was crying. It just hits you in a certain way. This game hurts. And I think everybody I've spoken to has said the exact same thing, that they won't forget this game anytime soon, and the last 2 hours had them sobbing. By the way, they were all guys that said this. Like Astrobot, this is another game I platinumed, and it was an extremely hard platinum, as there are things that you need to discover to achieve this, and these things do not go easy on you. I'll admit, I had a bit of an easier time, as I was a little bit overpowered, and discovered some techniques that made my life a little bit easier, but it was still rough. And holy crap, I worked my ass off for that platinum, and I will be proud of it until the day I die. Some of the things I had to do to platinum this game, I really hope we get to explore in future Claire Obscure titles, because we really need some answers. If you haven't played this game, I would really recommend giving it a try. Or watching a playthrough, if you prefer. I know many people will say this is an overhyped game, but I really need you not to listen to these people's opinions, and to make your own. You need to experience this one for yourself. And if you do choose to play it, I really do hope you enjoy this game. And with that, that is my games for 2025. I am sorry this video is extremely late. I have been working on it for months, but unfortunately time escaped me and I had other things that I needed to take care of. I would love to hear about all the games that you've played during 2025. Were there any that were your favourite, any that stood out, any that you think we should try playing? I'm really interested to know what you think. And are there any games you're looking forward to this year, during 2026? Me, personally, I'm looking forward to Resident Evil 9 and Wolverine. I can't wait for those games to come out. I hope you've enjoyed last year's roundup of games. And as you know, going forward this year, I will be changing up the content and doing review type content rather than Let's Plays. There will be a Let's Play element to it, because I'm planning on, in the beginning, going through my entire journey of the game, just at a shortened version so it's not overwhelming. And if there's any games that you have in mind that you think I should play, please let me know below, or just let me know in general. I would appreciate that. I have a couple of games in mind already, but we'll see how that pans out. This took a while. Granted, I've stopped and started for a good couple of months. There's been the script writing and playing the actual games, and then Christmas all happened, and there was events happening over the Christmas period, which sort of just ate into my time for doing this. I did intend to get this done a lot quicker, but I was just very, very slow. And I wish you all the best for 2026. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate all your support, and I shall see you in the next one. See ya.